Oh, okay, so we're talking to the principals from U-Turn Audio. These are the guys I reviewed that turntable and the phono preamp, which won the shootout, the blind shootout. So I always wanted to meet you guys because I think what you're doing is fantastic and I really respect you. So Ben Carter, you're the CFO.
Yes, sir.
And Bob Herdick, you are what?
I'm the president. I designed our products.
And Peter Malton, you are
Operations manager.
Operations manager. So you guys come from different backgrounds. You were living in Boston, and how did you guys meet, for one thing?
Actually, all went to high school together.
Oh,
in Lexington, Mass.
Oh, I
Yeah,
see.
we actually were on the same homeroom for 4 years. In high school.
Oh,
Yeah.
and you still talk to each other afterwards, which is
amazing.
that's very mature of your generation. My generation, we don't talk to each other. Okay, and so you guys independently started collecting records, or while you were in high school you were crate digging and picking records?
Yeah, we were listening since freshman year. Rob got me into vinyl. I had a Sony turntable that I listened to for 3 years, but was never quite satisfied with.
Did you have any idea of what satisfied would mean in this field? I mean, you just...
I mean, my gripes with it were so simple. Like it didn't work. You know, like,
That's a good...
Like it would it had this auto return. It would go up in the middle of the track.
Yeah.
It skipped all the time. Frankly, I didn't think that I could get something that sounded good for under $400,
Right.
or I had to be like an audio whiz like Rob, and,
Right.
build something up from scratch or refurbish something.
So you guys were all crate digging and listening to records, and so how did your generation get from being all on the grid and the digital thing to, because it's your generation that's driving this now?
Yeah.
What happened? How did that happen?
I mean,
I was going to say, I think it's because, in terms of digital, a lot's been shifting towards streaming, and there's less ownership, and there's something about actually owning the music, and especially when it's physical and it's nice and big and you can look at it. It's a different way of owning music and appreciating it. So
Yeah, I think your generation gets that in a way that the generation older than you, it's like, hey, I got my music for free, I stream it, and you know what? In 40 years, what are you going to have? You'll have nothing.
Right, yeah.
I pull out a 40-year-old record, I know where I was when I bought it, who I was dating, what I was doing. There's a smell that gets absorbed into it, and you take it out, and your whole mind goes to a place that those people who are just streaming are losing. They don't know what they're. Some of them will get it when they get back to this, but
yeah, absolutely.
okay. So you all get that, which I think is just, you have no idea what that does for me. So then you guys, it's like, let's put on a show. You said, hey, let's design a turntable.
We all had an idea of what the market was kind of missing, something in between the USB Crosleys and your entry-level projects. There was that big gap that was pretty obvious to us, being in the market for a good, cheap turntable.
Inexpensive, don't use the word cheap.
Right, inexpensive.
attainably priced.
There you go.
Right.
And so you looked at the price point. You started with the price point.
Right.
And then you decided you would like to see if you could build something or design something that could fit into that price point and you could turn into a business.
Right.
And that's because the job market was so fantastic.
Exactly.
It's
And
all
that price
Obama's fault,
point
right?
was $150, which
Right.
it turns out that's not possible.
Right.
That would've been
But $179 is doable, and we were able to create something that sounded pretty good. I mean, for 3 people that have very little experience in manufacturing, 0 experience in manufacturing, Rob's always been engineering stuff, but never bringing a product to market. It's a lot of this technology has been around for a while, and it's not reinventing the wheel. It's just prioritizing the right things
Right.
and understanding what's important for consumers, and that's what we were able to do. And offering it direct helped us make it, more affordable,
Sure.
as opposed to going through the traditional dealer systems.
Right.
And now we're taking that same idea of affordability, but giving people the options if they want to go higher end, add the acrylic
Sure. And
slider,
they can add the options as they go.
and everything's upgradable and modular, so it'll all fit together.
But why didn't you say to yourselves, okay, we have an idea, let's go to China and make it?
I think it was, because
It wasn't that of like super patriotism, was it?
No, at all.
I think we appreciated the fact that a lot of people do like the made in the U.S. products,
Yeah.
and that was missing there. But it was mostly about our own development. We developed it all in-house. I think we wanted to keep everything as in-house as possible, because that lets us improve the product and learn more about manufacturing it, as opposed to just kind of handing it over the ocean and seeing what came back, and we'd be stuck with that forever. So
Those are all great ideas. How did you guys think of those things? Just
we just
mature beyond your years. All right. So then you needed a place to do this.
Right.
So there was an industrial park in Woburn. That
Yep.
Now you guys would know this, but an industrial park in Woburn is where Music Merchants was. That was one of the leading one-stops for vinyl sales for all of New England. A guy named Howie Ring, who I worked for, had his big one-stop there. So in those days, the independent labels didn't have their own distribution. So they would have a one-stop that would get in all the small labels, and it'd be just walls and rows and buildings full of records. And then they'd have record pickers that would pick them and send them to the record stores from Maine. I don't know how far it went. He had another one in Meriden, Connecticut. And that's where he had his head office. And I made the radio commercials for all his record stores that he also owned. And those played on the radio in Boston. And that's how I got my start in radio. I got my start in all of this because I made the commercials on BCN. And I'll send you some. I think I sent you one of the commercials.
I think you did, yeah.
And the commercials were pretty outrageous to the point where they request the listeners would request the commercials instead of the songs. And I'll play some. I did one for him live actually.
Right.
So you're in that place. I think it's great that Woburn is now the center of this because it has this history that you didn't know about. But it's there. And unfortunately, Howie died in a car crash. It was terrible. So now you say you're going to set up a manufacturing facility. And how do you do that? You say, we'll just get the space and these parts are made where?
So we have a bunch of different vendors in the U.S. About 80% of the turntables comes from manufacturers in the U.S. Just like the circuit boards, the motor, the electronics come from China.
Right.
We have a machine shop that does really great CNC turning and milling. It's just in Connecticut. We work really closely with our injection molders in Wisconsin. The plinth and our MDF platter are CNC, MDF and powder coated in Minnesota. So we try to keep as much as possible right here in the U.S.
So it's a nationwide project.
Yeah, we
which
set
is
up this supply network, and we're really close with our vendors to get great materials, good
So
parts.
when you go to a guy and say we're designing a turntable, how old is the guy and does he say to you, "You're what?" Does that happen?
Yeah, I think we're pretty young, both for vinyl and for our starting.
And so and now what are they saying? Now that you've made over 10,000 turntables, now what are they saying?
Who's buying them?
Yeah, now that's the next question. First it was no one's going to buy this, so what are you doing? And now who's buying them?
Right.
And do you keep tabs on your demographics? Do you know who's buying them?
It's mostly people under the age of 35.
And
A lot of guys under
But
the
some
age of 35. And
girls,
more and more women. are
yeah.
getting into it,
Taylor
which is
Swift.
great
You know,
to see.
she's a
Absolutely.
vinyl person. She made her record is the biggest selling record of this year so far. Like 40,000 copies have sold.
Yeah, we listen to it all.
It's a great. I love that record. I don't know whether you like that record. I like that record.
Yeah.
Mostly because I listen to it and think of her, and I'm a dirty old guy. So, so as you go, you have to have a learning curve of packaging, and you start sending things out, and then they come back crushed, and then you do drop tests. I mean, all these things. It's been trial and error. How long did it take you to? How many trials and how many errors
We're
before?
still trying.
The packaging might have been our biggest success. Very few got damaged from the get-go.
What's that? What
Packaging.
packaging? Really?
Yeah.
And who did you hire a consultant to do the packaging, or did you?
It's actually a Maine-based packaging company, right there.
Yeah. We gave him another, similar turntables packaging and said we kind of want to do something like this.
Yeah.
So okay, made it happen.
But it has been a big learning curve, and we're, one of our company's big goals is keeping improving and learning more every day. So that's another benefit of having manufacturing in the same building as engineering and design and customer service. Is we have this really tight feedback loop between what our customers are seeing, how manufacturing is going with engineering. So it lets us keep refining the turntable over time, making it better and better. So.
And it's just like friends tell friends. Is that part of how your sales is?
Huge word of mouth. The reviews help, but it really is people
Word
just
of
telling
mouth.
people.
Yeah.
We don't have much marketing budget. We never have.
Right.
Kickstarter was a great platform because you don't have to spend a lot to get the word out. But beyond that, it's just been the product really speaking for itself.
Right. And you've been able to keep the cost the same. You haven't had to raise. So you really hit the mark where you thought you could price it at, and you kept it there.
Yeah, I mean, we're trying to bring the cost of building it down.
Right. So you can make some
Because our
money. which is-
margins,
We can get it more
pretty
places.
small.
Yeah, I'm sure. And are you all making a living at this now?
Yeah, we support ourselves and our 11 other employees.
And are your parents all still alive?
Yeah.
And what did they say when you said you were doing this turntable?
He's not in a turntable company. What's he doing? He's out of his mind.
And did they all like get rid of their turn? Did they ever have turntable?
Yeah, my dad still has a stand that he still says he likes more than the Orbit, but I think that's like a dad.
That's all. Well, you tell him for me that he doesn't know what he's talking about. And now they're pretty happy about it.
Yeah, they seem to be.
Wow, that's just fantastic. All right, so you're profitable. You have 14 employees. You've sold over 10,000.
We're barely profitable.
Okay, but you're successful, better than the alternative, and you're all making a living to support yourself.
Yeah, and it's really fun, and it's great to be in touch with all of the people who are involved in vinyl and be part of this kind of movement, which it really is, especially.
Now, do you know about the wax thing that's happening in California on October 24th? You should know about this because maybe this is where you guys can get involved. So there's an event at the Capitol Tower, the iconic Capitol Tower. It's called the Wax Event. So there's going to be a lot of vinyl sales there.
Yeah.
There's going to be DJs. There's going to be bands playing contests, and the whole vinyl culture is going to be part of this.
Yeah.
And I don't know whether there's a way you can interface with it, but my website has a thing about it, and maybe someone could be there and show the turntables. I think a lot of people are going to be there for the first time looking at this. And I'm doing a seminar with some mastering engineers there.
That'd be great.
Yeah, we'll check it out.
So you should check it out. Anything else you want to say to people?
Just buy one of our turntables.
Yeah. Well, I think what you guys are doing is absolutely fantastic. And then the phono preamp, let's talk about that for a second. Who designed that?
So actually, the original guy we had to lay out our PCBs for the Orbit, like the motor board and the output board, his background was actually in preamp design, so he was a natural fit to design the actual circuit for the phono preamp. And me and him kind of worked together on the enclosure, and we kind of went from there.
And you did listening involved in this?
Oh yeah.
Sure. And
yeah,
all this listening was involved in all of this, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean we try to do a good mix of the technical measuring and the actual listening verification.
Yeah.
Of all.
And you have to, because if you want to measure turntables, it doesn't compare to the digital stuff. It just happens to sound a lot better, which counts to most of us.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I want to thank the three principals of U-Turn for talking to us on Analog Planet and on YouTube. And thank you. We love you.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.